So we're going to start focusing on game over. So first of all, I want to go to the addition game view, and I'm going to add a new computed property. So show game over view. This will be a Boolean. Now, if the game view model game over is true, then present a game over kind of pop-up. Now we're going to make this just a little bit more complicated. So let's add a to-do. So update this once we add the high score view model. So if the game's over and we have a new score, a new high score, then I want us to go to the high score view. Okay, so it's basically if game is over. Okay, we'll get to that once we talk about the high score view model, but we haven't talked about the high score at all yet. Okay, so great. So now what I want to do, let's scroll down. So we have this Z stack, background, and a V stack. Let's fold this V stack. Okay, great. Now it's very clean. So we have this background, we have a V stack, and I want to do something over here. So first of all, let's add a little padding to our V stack. Next, I want us to blur. So let's blur with 0. Blurring with 0 just doesn't do anything. Let's blur with 5. We can't really see anything. So why would we want to blur? Well, I want to blur out when the game overview needs to be shown. So if game over, blur out by 5, otherwise 0. Now currently, I hope the game is not over, and we're going to find out in a moment once the preview updates. Now, in addition, I'd like to disable the view if show game overview is true. Okay, next, I want the game overview. So game over view. Now this is not going to work. And I also want to add some padding, but this doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, because we haven't defined the game overview. And I also want to add a tap gesture. So on tap gesture, I want to reset the game. Now, just to get rid of this bug, I'm going to comment this out and put text game over. Okay, so we see game over now. Okay, now we don't want it to appear, so let's make some additional code. So I'm going to blur. Now, if show game overview, actually let's hide this so we can work just a little bit more conveniently. So if show game overview is true, then don't blur this text. Otherwise, blur it like crazy, like 30. Now this is the interesting part. So the opacity, well, if the game is over, the opacity will be 1. And if the game is not over, in other words, we're playing the game, the opacity is 0, and then the text will be invisible. So that takes care of that. Now I could have used an if statement to hide the text. I chose to use opacity. And I'd also like it to be disabled if the game is not over. So show game overview means, right, the game is over. So, right, if we're not showing the game overview. Why do I want it to be disabled? Well, if it's there, even though it's invisible, right, with opacity 0, I don't want to be able to respond to tap gestures. Okay? Great, so we're good. Everything's fine here, although I do prefer these modifiers. It doesn't really matter in this case, but I prefer that they appear before the tap gesture. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We should have some functionality now. Okay, now game over doesn't appear. Let's mess up. So messed up once, twice. Notice the creatures are disappearing. Oh no, 1 plus 5. What's 1 plus 5? 8. No, it's not. Game is over. And now everything's blurred out. Right? I can't play the game. I can't press these numbers, but let's click on game over. That should trigger the tap gesture. I'm clicking on game over. What just happened? We reset the game. The lives are now 3. Therefore, the game is not over, right? We have lives. Let's play again. Oh no, the game's over, right? I played horribly. Game over, click on it. Okay, great. So we need to add the high score functionality, but well before that, we need actually the game overview. So let's do that now. And I'm going to create some game overview, but I recommend that you create your own game overview. Something that maybe looks nicer, and also change the background color, like be creative. You don't have to do what I'm doing. So I'm going to run through this rather quickly. So I decided that I want an HStack. So I'm going to embed this text in an HStack. And it's going to say game over. Now the spelling is crucial to work with our localization, okay? Recall that we had some localization, like this game should work in French. So we have adding game, just regular, we have adding game in French. Let's try the French version. We can try the Arabic version. And we have some French, right? Which I do not know how to read, unfortunately. Partie terminée, I don't want to ruin the French. And we also had Arabic, right? Adding game Arabic. We had many versions of this, right? We could add more schemes. Our app supports many languages, but now we have just some schemes that are available. And this is in Arabic, which I unfortunately don't know how to read. I'm going to go back to our regular adding game. And now, and if I messed up typing game over, if it doesn't match the localization files, then it's not going to translate. Okay, so you have to be really careful typing things in. Okay, next I want to create a label with a title and an image. So title. Okay, excuse me, a title and an icon. Okay, I'm using a different version. This is the version I'm using, label title icon. So for the title, let's have game over. And let's add multi-line text alignment centered. So if our text is too large, then it will be centered. Next, I want to add an image, system name, and I just looked up an image in SF symbols. So arrow shape dot turn dot up dot backward dot circle dot fill, and let's just update the preview. Okay, so that's looking good. It's actually working. Now we want to improve things. So I'm going to make this resizable. Okay, and scaled to fill. And I'm going to give it a frame of 50 by 50. So I'm pressing Alt Enter here to get the width. So 50, 50, and the alignment by default is centered, so I don't need that. And for the foreground color, I'm going to use dot yellow. And okay, we're not quite done yet. We still have some work to do. Now let's go down to the icon. So we have image, and I want to go to the creature0.raw value. Whoa. Wait, the game's over. Shouldn't we be a little bit upset? So let's try a different creature. Creature 1. No, he's happy. 2. He's cute. 3. He's also cute. 4, 5. Oh, he's devastated. So this is the creature, right? We lost the game. We're devastated. It's very sad. Okay. Frame. So I made it resizable. Frame 25 by 25. And scale to fit, I want. And let's add some padding. Why am I adding padding? Because I want a background. And the order really matters here. So let's add color.green. Okay. But I want a circular background. So let's do clip shape, circle. And maybe you can find different ways to implement this, which would be great. Okay. Now I'm going to apply to this. So let's get out here. So let's set font to .title. Now, of course, I messed around with this a bit. You know, I experimented until I got the results that I wanted. I'm not just guessing right now. Okay. So you should do the same, right? You should experiment. And yeah, let's set the foreground color to .white. So that's not really good because now the game over will just disappear. But we'll take care of that, right? So I'm going to add a background color. Background. I'm going to add color.blue. Okay, great. Well, before the background, let's add a little bit padding. And I want a corner radius. Let's say 10. That looks pretty cool. And let's add a shadow with radius 3. And I think we are good. Okay, so this was my implementation of Game Overview, and I really recommend, trying something else. Now let's jump back to Audition Game View and replace this text with the Game Overview. And now let's play the game. And notice the red is not supposed to be in the final game. I just don't like thinking, right? Why would I want to think? So right now I'm playing really good because the red is just the answer, right? That's our cheat. And I'm just going to mess up. So I lost the creature again. Oh no, the game is over. Let's click on Game Over. And I don't really need to click on this arrow over here. So we're back. Great. So we've implemented Game Over. Things are really coming along. And soon we're going to start working with the high score and high score view model. So great. So have an amazing day and see you next time.